What's cracking, everybody? Rose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Badly content. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Spring Cup, our return to Great League after a whole week of Little Cup and Master League. I hope you're ready. I know that there's many people absolutely just ready to jump spring forward into this new rotation. All right, anyway, so let's do a quick run through the rankings and talk about some of my top teams, or at least on paper, what look to be some of the top teams in the Cup. Galarian Weezing sits top #1 here, having access to Brutal Swing and Overheat. Makes it a very good sim hero. I feel like, though, you know, Weezing can't really beat a whole lot of things going straight Overheat, so there's definitely baits involved here. So, for example, like against the Mawile matchup, it is listed as a win. However, I know for a fact that Brutal Swing has to happen at some point. You probably can't go straight Overheat there in that matchup, because I imagine that the Mawile will eventually just Fire Fang down if it commits more than just one shield. So, the Cup essentially is water, grass, and I believe Fairy. So, Toxapex was initially banned from this meta. Now, what do you get when you still have water types and you only ban one of the water poisons? You get the other water poison, which is Tentacruel. And you know what Tentacruel can do, this disgusting little thing here? In the 2-shield scenario, just going straight Poison Jab Acid Spray, it has one loss in the whole meta. I'll let you find out what that is for yourself, and if you'd like, let me know in the comments, because I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, to be honest with you. But I do remember that the record is 23-1 or something ridiculous like that. So have fun with that knowledge, and yeah, Tentacruel's disgusting. And the win is not Lantern, by the way, I don't think. So some other standouts in this Cup to me, I think that Mawile is definitely going to be one of those like toxic, fast move team oriented things. I love Shadow Abomasnow anytime I can get my hands on it, and this Cup is not going to be any different. I also definitely, I mean, I like Tentacruel regardless, even if it wasn't so ridiculously OP in this Cup. I also feel like Jumpluff could have some play with the extreme amount of bulk it has and the neutral moveset that it's got across the meta. I feel like that's probably a good pick here. And then Roserade being a grass type that basically can beat the other grass types and the fairy types and the water types. Feels like a really strong pick. Reason why I say it can beat the other fairy types, because it has access to Poison Jab if it wants to, has access to Fire, Weather Ball to deal with those fellow grass types, and has Leaf Storm and or, you know, Grass Knot, Bullet Seed. I think it's got a few different moves that it can use to deal with the waters. So I feel like Roserade is also a really strong pick. However, I didn't craft any teams with it today. You could probably expect there to be a Roserade team in my Patreon Discord, which, if you're keen on getting into that, you're going to get early access to all of the meta tips, teams, analysis, all of my strategies, and basically everything else that my brain can dump into some place on the internet about this game. All that goes into my Discord first, and you also get, you know, coaching discounts, all kinds of other perks. So check out the Patreon link in the description for just how to get involved with that, and what kind of things you can get through the subscription to the Patreon. And also, I do offer coaching on Metafy, so if you're interested in, you know, sitting down with me and going over some gameplay, you know, mechanics, or, you know, how-tos, this and that's, to try and elevate your gameplay to the next level, hit me up on Metafy, link in the description there. Have tons of different lessons and courses, and we can also just have one-on-one live coaching if that's what you'd rather. But anyway, let's talk about the team. So the first team we're going to have in this meta here is going to be Galarian Weezing, Ferrothorn, Lantern. Very balanced team, two very strong cores. I feel like Weezing cores pretty well with Lantern, also cores pretty well with Ferrothorn. The only thing that breaks the Ferrothorn Weezing core that I can see, at least like in a way that you can't play around it too well, is Fire Fang Shadow Mawile, which is why I was like keen on throwing a Lantern or a water type in the back here. Gets pretty good coverage on the meta, to be completely honest. These three things individually kind of do real well here. And you know, the things that this team loses to the hardest are going to be something like Pelipper, which, I mean, Ferrothorn and Weezing could definitely play up against a Pelipper. You could definitely kind of jump around that one, the team, a little bit. Swampert would definitely be a pain, and honestly, I feel like a lot of the teams that I made in this video today are really weak to Swampert, and I really don't. I feel like Swampert is just asking to be beat up in this meta, being that it's got a ton of grass types in it, and I don't know, I just feel like Swampert just would not would not flow well in this meta, but I will be very wrong. Someone is going to, you know, take Swampert, crack it up to Legend because they're just that much of a Giga Chad, and they're just really good at the game. So, yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind swapping out either Lantern or Ferrothorn if you wanted to shore up a weakness to one or the other. I definitely think that Weezing just by itself is an extremely strong Pokemon. I feel like in the lead could be really good because of the overheat. You can clear the debuff after you throw it. Maybe just have, you know, something in the back that can draw out a harder counter. So it's just, there's a million things you can do with a kind of team like this. It's really just going to be completely reactive on the team that you're seeing on the other side of the field. So let's talk about team number 2, which is going to be a little bit more of a normal ABB line that you're probably used to seeing, especially for myself, because that's typically what I specialize in is ABB teams or facsimiles thereof. Things that are close to ABB, so maybe not like a true form ABB, but like a pseudo ABB. But this one is definitely like a purist ABB, where you've got Trevenant with double water ice in the back. This Lapras, if you want to bring it back out from your time in the goodness gracious, I already forgot what the name of the cup was. But whatever we were.
Spring Cup?
No, Mountain Cup. We're doing Spring Cup right now. Okay. It's Mountain Cup. I just remembered. Thank you, babe. Look, a lot of people's wives won't even try. They'll just sit there. At least she tried. I appreciate her. I love this woman. Yay. So, if you have a water gun Lapras from last time, I think that it could do okay here. You just kind of have to make a read on whether you're going to see a lot more grass types or a lot more of everything else. Because obviously, as we all know, the water gun Lapras did really well in the Mountain Cup, but it definitely doesn't do as great against the grasses. But the Trevenant Walrein core is tale as old as time, as they say. With decent coverage on the meta here, you're only really losing out on things like Araquanid, Celio, and an opposing Lapras could be a problem for you. But for the most part, you've still got meta. You've got meta coverage here, and you've got play against just about everything else. Super strong. You know, meant to draw out the Lantern, because you can probably expect a lot of people to play Lantern. Lantern's just one of the Great League pillars, the Great League goats right now, which is why it's everywhere. But I mean, the team does really well here. I mean, you can see that most of the things that core break the team are basically the ABB team doing what it's meant to do. It's using Lapras or Walrein to draw out that thing that Trevenant can beat, that doesn't want to see the Trevenant, and then Trevenant pummels it down, and you're hoping that the Walrein or Lapras can sweep in the end game with shields or, you know, whatever advantage you may have generated by drawing out the hardest counter to that water ice type. So that being said, we're going to take a look at the next team here, which is number 3. We're going to look at one of my more interestingly probably goated teams, honestly, because if you remember what I said about maybe 5 minutes ago, that Tentacruel was ridiculously OP in this cup, and the 2 shields with just acid spray. It doesn't need anything else, it just needs acid spray. But Abomasnow, especially Shadow Abomasnow, I feel like is going to be a good thing to have in this meta, even if it's against something like a Tentacruel. If you swap out and somehow you can get some energy advantage later, you can still lob an energy ball at the Tentacruel after it comes back in, so you can still try to generate some sort of advantage. And I think the Jellicent could be super strong here after the meta settles a little bit and Tentacruel is everywhere. You can basically put the Jellicent wherever you need to put it to deal with however many Tentacruels you're seeing in the more. I mean, I feel like Tentacruel is going to rise to be like the most played thing in this meta. So be ready for that. Jellicent will be an excellent counter to it. However, Jellicent is also something that loses to Tentacruel in the 2 shields running straight acid spray. So it's... I have to go. I think it might be Swampert. I think Swampert's probably like the only thing. I think that it has to be. I can't think of anything else, but it's disgusting. Good meta coverage here. Roserade coming up as the main thing that beats this trio here. But then you've got, you know, 1 or 2 things on the team that handle everything else. So you've got some of the more hefty ones are going to be like Galarian Weezing, but it only really wins the Abomasnow matchup if it lands the overheat. Brutal Swing just doesn't cut it, and the Weather Balls are going to hit a lot harder than you expect, especially from a Shadow. Ferrothorn, it depends if it's running Thunder. Oh no, Ferrothorn, I think that's the thing that can beat Tentacruel in the 2 shields in this meta. That's it. It's Ferrothorn, now that I remember what it was. So Ferrothorn's going to be a good thing to have when Tentacruel is everywhere as well. Probably the Tentacruel and, no, The Jellicent Ferrothorn, I can't think. Jellicent Ferrothorn core is going to be super strong after Tentacruel starts being in every single team. So anyway, that being said, so just the safe swap Jellicent, you guys have seen it on the channel recently with Surf. Really strong even in those neutral or even bad matchups. The spamminess of the Surf makes it really nice for the Jellicent to put something in a range of being able to be farmed after you've been hard countered. So, you know, I think that this team could do really well. I just wanted to find a way to use my Abomasnow, and I do remember a good old Wallower line of Abomasnow double water, and while we don't necessarily want to see Azumarill in a meta full of Tentacruels and grass types, I subbed it out as best that I knew how. And just for what it's worth, there's also just about no fighters in this cup. I think there's some fighting coverage in Poliwrath, but Breloom is the only thing in this entire meta that knows counter. So I wouldn't be worried about making a team polarized about fighters. This just happens to be polarized around fighting to a degree. But anyway, let's take a look at team number 4 here. As we get to the close of the video here, we've got Mawile, Shadow Mawile specifically, with a double water backline. As you know, Mawile is fairly weak to other waters, so we picked things that don't really beat those because I'm just a fool and don't know how to team build at this point. I think this is going to be more of a... I don't know. It's hard to... I was really struggling team building around Mawile. You know, every single team that I built with Mawile had something that kind of got core broken by it. So I just wanted to throw something in here that I wanted to use my Seeking and my Lantern. But you could honestly throw something else in here like Ferrothorn. Team number 4 is a wash. We're not going to spend too much time on this one because in hindsight, after making it, I'm realizing that I don't like it as much. Sue me. I don't care. Really does struggle the most against opposing Lanterns and the you know, the water grounds, the mud boys of the cup. But I mean, honestly, aside from that, it's got decent polarizing coverage. It's just really hard to team build a good team around Mawile, at least on paper. I'm sure someone's going to do one and show me, you know, hey, you're an idiot. Look at this great Mawile team I made. And, you know, I'm going to say, look at you, buddy. You're doing great. Good job. I didn't have it. So anyway, yeah, I in hindsight, let's scratch this team from the record until someone hits legend with it in like 2 weeks. So, or not in 2 weeks, in like 2 days. All right, last team. This one is better, I promise. This is going to be Mantine double grass, right? So the point here is that Mantine is thick, it's got the debuff, and it makes things a lot better for things in the back, especially something like Trevenant that doesn't have the bulk that, you know, Ferrothorn has or some other things have. But also, it's basically putting 2 of Lantern's hardest counters behind a Mantine. So you safe swap the Trevenant in this particular team, let Ferrothorn do the sweeping, and basically you've got a really strong team here that, again, just like our first team, has coverage against just about everything on the meta. In the one shield scenario, you can see even Mantine's able to beat things like Weezing because Weezing doesn't rock play rough in this particular meta. It makes it a really easy thing. You know, Araquanid is not something that much cares for Mantine. And at that point, you know, you're thinking about, you know, Ninetales, Dugong, like all of those things are things that Trevenant can easily draw out and have us play against because of its coverage. But Mantine doesn't so much care for those things, so I would just safe swap in Trevenant and just see what happens. But there is something to be said about this meta. I think it is going to be a very RPS sort of meta. It's not like in the Mountain Cup when we were centralized, or no, it was Color Cup? Well, I think it was Color Cup when we were so centralized around Trevenant Toxapex that we were like, oh my god, it's RPS. But Mountain Cup was toxic RPS with fast moves, and I feel like this is going to be very close to that. At least on the surface. I'm really hoping that the meta shapes up a little bit differently than I'm initially expecting, because I don't like RPS metas, dude. I want to be able to play and have some skill and try to play around people and just, you know, use the skills that I've gained in this game that I can teach to other people, and those are the things that make the difference. Not this RPS matchup BS that we've now come to adopt as our new standard because of the way that the meta is just overall in general. There's so much RPS, it's just, I don't know. I could go on for weeks about it, but I'm not going to bore you like that. That's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and comment in the I comment in the comments, right? That's the sentence that was about to come out of my mouth. Leave me a comment and let me know what you're planning on running for the Spring Cup, and hopefully it's a better cup than we expect. That's going to be it for me, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to catch you in the next video, hopefully with a good Spring Cup team early next week. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one. Catch you next time.